Tom Bower didn't just drop a bombshell, he set the entire royal world on fire. Imagine this: Buckingham Palace trembling, Montecito's silence cracking, and Meghan Markle's carefully built image wobbling like glass about to shatter. It all began when Tom, calm as ever, leaned into the camera, eyes sharp, and asked a single question that changed everything. If Meghan truly gave birth to Lilibet, then why is the most important sentence missing? One sentence. That's all it took. One tiny missing line that every royal mother in history proudly included in her birth announcement. A line that secured the child's place in the royal bloodline, sealed by law and protected by centuries of tradition. But when Meghan announced the birth of Lilibet, that sentence was gone, vanished. And that silence was louder than any denial. Every royal mother before her had used it. The Duchess of Sussex was safely delivered of a daughter. Those 6 simple words meant everything. They confirmed the birth, the mother's role, the legitimacy of the child. Yet Meghan's statement read differently. We welcomed a daughter. Sweet, yes, but to anyone familiar with royal protocol, that was a red flag the size of Buckingham Palace itself, because without safely delivered, there's no confirmation that Meghan actually gave birth. No mention of labor, doctors, or witnesses. Just vague warmth hiding behind soft language. And Tom Bower wasn't buying it. He called it what it was, a carefully crafted shield. Because that missing sentence wasn't an editing choice. It was protection. Legal protection, historical protection. Protection from the truth. Even more shocking, the palace played along. Buckingham Palace, the same institution that has never, in all its history, followed anyone else's wording, released its own announcement that mimicked Meghan's exactly. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex have welcomed a daughter, not delivered, not gave birth, welcomed. That's not protocol, that's strategy. Royal insiders were stunned. The palace doesn't mirror others. Others mirror the palace. Yet this time, they followed Meghan's lead. Why? Because, as sources whisper, it was about survival. If Meghan hadn't actually given birth, the palace could later say, "We never said she did." No liability, no scandal, no legal trap. It was a masterclass in quiet damage control. For centuries, royal births have been public, witnessed, certified, and documented. A royal baby's arrival isn't just personal, it's state business. The rules are carved in stone. The parents must be legally married. The child must be conceived naturally. The birth must be witnessed and verified. And most importantly, the child must come from the body of the mother. That final rule is sacred. It's the heart of royal legitimacy. And yet, both Archie and Lilibet were added to the royal line of succession without verified doctors, witness statements, or the usual delivery details. No one confirmed anything. No one questioned it. Everything moved quietly, too quietly. But the silence didn't last. The questions started, and with them came something even more chilling: Lilibet's birth certificate. When researchers examined the document supposedly belonging to her, the numbers didn't line up, literally. Every U.S. birth certificate carries a code. It identifies where the child was born, the state, the county, the sequence. California has its own code. Colorado has another. But Lilibet's? It carried a Colorado code. Not California, where Meghan and Harry claim she was born. That discovery sent shivers through everyone paying attention. Because birth certificates don't travel, they don't teleport across states. They don't make mistakes like that. The numbers also suggested something mathematically impossible: that she was the 163,000th baby born in that area that year, even though the year wasn't halfway through. So what happened? Was it a clerical error? A swap? Or was the certificate not what it seemed? No matter the explanation, the outcome was clear. The official story and the official record did not match. And when the numbers don't align with royal history, you can be sure something's being hidden. Then came another bizarre twist: the doctor. The same doctor listed as having delivered Lilibet abruptly closed her practice just 2 weeks after the supposed birth. No interviews, no confirmation, no farewell statement. She simply disappeared. Doctors who deliver royal babies usually make history. They don't vanish into thin air. That sudden silence only deepened suspicions. People close to royal medical procedures hinted that maybe she was told to step back for confidentiality reasons. But disappearing completely? That wasn't standard secrecy, that was erasure. Someone didn't want her anywhere near the story again. And if all that wasn't enough, the whispers from inside Montecito made the mystery even darker. A housemaid, someone who lived inside the Sussex home during the period Meghan was said to be heavily pregnant, broke her silence. She claimed she never once saw a baby bump. Not a small one, not a growing one, nothing. She said Meghan moved around easily, did chores, dressed normally, without the physical signs of a woman about to give birth. No swollen feet, no changes in posture, no late pregnancy exhaustion. But the real shock came later, when the maid watched the Netflix documentary and saw Meghan parading a perfect round belly on camera, one she swore had never been there in real life. Her reaction? Pure disbelief. She reportedly thought the baby she saw later was the first child, not a newborn. This wasn't idle gossip. It was the testimony of someone who was there, someone who saw everything behind closed doors, without lighting, cameras, or scripts. And when the people inside say they saw nothing, that silence becomes its own kind of proof. Then came a claim so explosive that even royal commentators hesitated to say it aloud. A family member of Meghan, someone who knew her before fame, before the palace claimed she had undergone a hysterectomy in her early 20s, a surgery that removes the uterus, a surgery that makes pregnancy impossible. It wasn't screamed at tabloids, it was whispered, almost sorrowfully, as if it was a burden someone had carried for years. If that's true, then Meghan could never have carried a child, not Archie, not Lilibet. Suddenly, that missing, safely delivered sentence takes on a whole new meaning. Writing those words would have been a legal declaration of something that could be medically disproved. And that's not just scandalous, that's dangerous. So she didn't say it. She said, "We welcomed a daughter," a phrase soft enough to pass, but vague enough to protect her from ever being caught in a lie. And the palace copied it because if her story ever fell apart, the crown could shrug and say, "We never confirmed it, this wasn't coincidence." It was careful choreography, the kind of language used by diplomats, not mothers. In political circles, there's a term for it, plausible deniability. You choose every word like it's a weapon, making sure nothing can come back to haunt you. And that's exactly how both Meghan and the palace spoke. Words that sounded sincere, yet meant nothing legally binding. The longer this went on, the more people noticed how every statement surrounding Archie and Lilibet's births avoided anything specific. No hospitals, no doctors, no eyewitnesses. Everything was shrouded in softness and smoke. It was as if the truth itself had been wrapped in velvet, hidden from view but still faintly glowing underneath. And then someone finally tried to get the truth the official way. A reporter filed a Freedom of Information request in the UK, simply asking for verification that Archie had been born at the Portland hospital, as claimed. The request didn't ask for private details, only for confirmation that the event had taken place. The government's reply was shocking. They said they were not in the business of delivering babies, and that the information being sought was held not by the hospital, not by the Department of Health, but by Buckingham Palace. And because the palace isn't a government body, it isn't required to comply with such requests. Translation? The truth is sealed. Locked behind royal walls, untouchable, unreachable, and protected by centuries of legal immunity. So the question remains, why such secrecy? If there's nothing to hide, why hide it? Because when institutions choose silence over clarity, it's usually because the truth is too dangerous to reveal. By this point, the story had stopped being about Meghan alone. It had become about the monarchy itself, about what happens when the oldest institution on earth bends its own sacred rules to protect one of its own. The entire royal succession line depends on certainty, verifiable, legal certainty. If that chain breaks, the entire system wobbles. And right now, it's wobbling. Every fact that was supposed to reassure the public instead deepened the mystery. A missing sentence in the birth announcement. A palace statement echoing the same omission. A birth certificate with the wrong state code. A vanished doctor. A maid who swears there was no pregnancy. And a family member who claims pregnancy was never even possible. It reads less like gossip and more like a royal crime scene with clues scattered everywhere and a crown desperate to hide them under velvet. When you lay it all out, it's not just strange, it's staggering. Because this isn't a small slip, it's a contradiction of everything the monarchy claims to be. A royal birth that can't be verified, a line of succession clouded by uncertainty, and a palace silently complicit in the cover-up. Now, the world watches. Not with anger, but with the kind of eerie, waiting silence that comes before history shifts. Because one question remains, the simplest and most dangerous of them all, who was actually born and from whom? The monarchy can survive scandal. It can survive public outrage, but it cannot survive doubt carved into its bloodline. And as Tom Bower's voice still echoes through the chaos, one truth grows louder than all the denials combined. When lies are written into royal history, silence doesn't protect the crown, it haunts it. Tonight, that silence has turned into a shadow over the throne. And somewhere between the missing sentence, the vanished doctor, and the locked palace files, the truth is waiting, daring someone brave enough to finally open the door. And here's where the story takes its most haunting turn, because even after everything, after the whispers, after the missing documents, after the contradictions and silence, Meghan and Harry never once came forward to directly clear the air. Not once. Every time someone tried to ask the simplest question, where was Lilibet born? The answers came wrapped in charm, smiles, and practiced vagueness. It was as if they'd built an invisible wall of politeness, hoping no one would ever dare climb it. The palace, too, played its role beautifully. It's almost theatrical when you think about it. Two sides moving in perfect rhythm, never colliding, never exposing the truth, both pretending to protect privacy, when in reality, they were protecting themselves. Because if even one document, one medical record, one official confirmation slipped out, proving the story wasn't what the world had been told, the royal foundation would shake to its core. You could almost feel the tension, reporters being hushed, editors warned, insiders told to let it go, and the public? They were fed polished images, family photos that looked almost too curated, interviews filled with smiles that didn't quite reach the eyes. It was perfection, maybe too perfect. But beneath that glossy surface, you could sense something wasn't right. Even longtime royal staffers whispered among themselves that they had never seen such deliberate vagueness surrounding a royal birth. It wasn't just about privacy, it was about rewriting royal protocol itself. And no one, not even the Queen in her later years, dared challenge it openly. Because what happens if the truth comes out? What happens if, for the first time in royal history, a child's legitimacy in the line of succession is questioned? That's the weight hanging in the air now, a quiet fear that something irreversible has already happened. Tom Bower didn't just expose a rumor, he cracked open a door that might never close again. Behind that door lies not just Meghan's story, but the monarchy's greatest vulnerability, the fear that a single lie, once accepted into royal history, becomes permanent. And that's the tragedy of it all. The truth isn't loud. It doesn't scream. It lingers, waiting, echoing, daring someone to finally stop pretending they don't hear it.